them is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Your life is not about the stuff you have. It is Thursday, April the 7th, 2016, and my name is S.M. Gibson. You are listening to Anti-Media Radio. Life isn't about the stuff that you have. It's about the stuff that you do for others. It's about helping others. That's the problem with the world we live in today. That's the problem with all these politicians. It's about what they can get. They're self-serving. That's mainly what all these people in positions of power are. They're all self-serving. Unfortunately, the people that are self-serving are the people amongst us, the people that you see in everyday life. But these people aren't trying to achieve power. They're not trying to control other people's lives. They're happy just helping people. Because unfortunately, the people that do help, they go to Washington, they see the corruption, they see the greed, and they're like, this isn't for me. I can't deal with this. This is ridiculous. And they go back home. They go back home. They don't want to deal with it. And I don't blame them. I'm not going to do it. I can't blame them one bit. Maybe you're better than me. Maybe you'll go out there. Maybe you'll run for office and try to change something. Some people do. I think Justin Amash, he seems to be one of them. Thomas Massey seems to be one of them. I don't know what's in their hearts, but on appearances, seem to be pretty good. But that's what, 2 out of 435. I'm sure there's a few others. Maybe not. Either way, what we have to do is remember, these people are not our masters. They're not in control of us. The only people in control of us are you. You control your actions. If you choose to love, you'll get that back. That'll come back to you. Don't worry about the fear in the media. They want you to be scared. They want you to be divided from your neighbor. They want to point out this and that and another thing. They want to treat people differently. They want to label people. Don't buy into it. Buy into the spirit of love. That's it. Ignore the fear. You don't need a wall. You don't need bigger locks on your houses. You just don't. You don't need Donald Trump to save you. He's not your savior. Shannon.
I'm going to take a moment to quote Wu-Tang Clan, cash rules everything around me. Cream, it's the money, dollar bill, y'all.
Shannon Madden, our wonderful sound director and producer.
R.I.P. ODB.
How are you tonight, sir?
Doing absolutely wonderful. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I've had it worse. A lot of people have it much, much worse.
Much worse. Speaking of self-serving politicians, have you seen the picture floating around of Miss Hillary Clinton attempting to pour some beer from a tap? Insert
I don't care.
Joke about poor head here.
I don't care. I don't. Should I?
I don't know. I mean, it's a picture. There's the people care about the picture.
I'm going to be that guy on this one and just... What's the story? I don't even know the story.
Yeah, apparently there's a picture floating around. She had went to some bar on her campaign trail. You know, she always pops up in places like a coffee house or, you know, there's always somebody standing there with a with a camera ready to take a picture of her, you know, commiserating with all these common people, you know. Yeah, there's a pic floating around. Actually, was sent to me by the wonderful Miss Claire Burnish, who will be on this program later this evening. Yeah, it's just her pouring beer from a tap, you know, the little handle thing. And then when she's done and she holds it aloft, it has like about 9 inches of foam on top of it and like a little tiny little bit of beer on the bottom. Probably the first time she's ever done that in her life.
Right.
Because, you know, she is practically the most prolific welfare whore in American government today.
Right.
So, you know, never had to pour beer.
So what's the joke?
But for the common folk. I don't know. There's a picture. I don't, you know.
What's the punchline?
Apparently that is. Hillary Clinton in and of itself.
You wasted my time with that. Great. I'm glad to announce, very thankful to announce our other co-host who unfortunately can't be in studio with us tonight, but is joining us abroad, Mr. Kevin Knight. Kevin, how are you?
Thanks, man. I'm doing pretty well, man. Sorry I can't be there tonight, but got to be up early in the morning. But great to be back. Look forward to the discussion. I hear Claire's coming on here in a bit.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The wonderful Miss Claire Burnish.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So, Kevin, you know what? You talk about the Libertarian Party. I have a question for you. What is the difference between a politician that chooses to go into the Libertarian Party and a politician that chooses to go in either the Republican or Democrat Party? It seems like if you go in either Republican or Democrat, it is self-serving. What makes a libertarian different?
Well, I certainly can't speak for all libertarians, but I know is one of the things and that I like about the Libertarian Party is that we're not so rigid that you have to conform to a particular set of standards. We're pretty open. You know, we do expect, hopefully, that you are a libertarian, but we center that around the NAP or the non-aggression principle, which, you know, hey, even if you're not a libertarian, you know, what's wrong with the non-aggression principle? You know, I think it's pretty sound.
We can't have politics without division. This sounds like some hooey to me. Some of that.
Yeah, well, I can totally understand that. But you know, most people that go into, I know I speak for myself and for a number of people that I know, actually are doing it for no more than to have another platform from which to spread their libertarian beliefs. So yeah, for a lot of people that are in the Libertarian Party, you know, we hope to obviously. In a race, we hope to actually to get into office, but you know, there's realistic expectations there, and so none of us are expecting a huge windfall. But like I said, if nothing more, it gives a platform. So yeah, that's kind of which way I'd go. Death by 1,000 cuts. If that's the way that we've got to look at this, and I say this, I mean, depending against the state, then I think all avenues should be fair game to pursue. And I think it's just one area that I think is worth pursuing.
Who's your guy on the libertarian aisle right now? Who's got your eye?
And I'll be well. Keep in mind again, I don't think most. I'm truly there's not any libertarians out there actually that think that Johnson or that Peterson or anybody or McAfee are actually going to win the presidency. That's pretty unrealistic goal. We know that, obviously. So with that in mind, I like all the libertarian candidates. I think all of them have great things to say. I don't agree with all of them 100%. I don't think any libertarian or even non-libertarian would do so either. So
yeah, it's virtually impossible to find a candidate that you're going to agree with 1,000% on every single last issue. I mean,
I'm going to go ahead and interject, and I'm just going to be the.
You started this whole thing anyway, so
I understand that I started it.
I kind of wish we were back to talking about Hillary Clinton giving poor head.
I did start this, and you know what? I'll go ahead and take the ball from this.
Come on, Daddy.
The end.
Daddy it up.
Put the kibosh on it.
If it was, Shannon, if it wasn't for you being such a lightweight on the sound, okay? If you weren't such a lightweight over there, Lil Shannon Madden. Old line Shannon.
Just remember, I'm a lot closer to the plug that will completely kill this whole broadcast than you are.
You got the monkey wrench, man. It just takes one long.
I think that to have true power over a thing is to know how to instantly destroy it.
And not afraid to do so either.
I'm going to make this show great again.
Well, the good news is, I don't believe it was ever great to begin with.
No, it wasn't.
Definitely not.
And it really sounds like we're woefully unprepared for the show. We actually prepped for the show tonight. We actually paid attention to the prep for the show. We've thrown the whole thing out the window. It's on fire, drifting to the streets right now as we speak. The script is gone.
Well, that's a good thing, I believe. I think that's the problem with society. And I think that's the appeal of idiot, moron Trump. But that's where society's at, I think everything goes back to everything right now. But I think that's where we're at in society. People are just fed up. I think they're being tired of being told what to do every step that they're supposed to make in every direction. And I think whether it's something like, for instance, health care, okay? And let's say that Obamacare wasn't a giant scam, which it was.
It is, yes.
Big time. But say there was something offered as a health care plan that was reasonable. I think there's a majority of Americans that are like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Because they're so... they've trained themselves to just automatically shut that off, even if it's a good thing. Also, with bombing people overseas, they just go along with that as well.
Well, at least it's not me. At least it's not happening in my backyard. America must have a good reason to be over there.
They do.
Yeah. Money.
Freedom.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, it's the money, dollar bill, y'all. I believe is how that went. Wu-Tang Clan.
Have you ever seen...
The RZA, the Jizza.
Hey, if you're on Twitter, you should follow Wu-Tang Financial. I have nothing to do with it, so that's not a plug of anything to do with me. It's just pretty amazing. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
And very educational. So, Kevin.
Yes.
Check. Okay, good. Let's bring you back in here. Bring me in where you're at with the election right now and where you think it's going. Do you think that Cruz's victory from the other night has really made this huge transition in the election? Do you think it matters? Do you think it's already planned, or is Trump?
I think we're probably headed for a broker convention, and I see we're likely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can't help but find it all kind of fascinating, even if I'm not going to be voting in the Republican election. I don't know. It's definitely one for the history books, but it sounds like, yeah, we're headed for a broker convention. I think if you'd asked anybody, including I think ourselves, I won't speak for you guys, but I think I recall, at least I know myself personally did, and I think we were kind of headed towards a consensus. If we were asked a month ago, would we have foreseen Ted Cruz making a seeming comeback, I would have said no, because he was actually. It didn't seem like Trump. It didn't seem like Cruz had much hope here a few weeks ago. But yeah, I would say that this latest win is probably going to energize at least his base, and it's still been holding out. So yeah, but either way, it looks like we're probably going to go into a broker convention. Doesn't seem like anybody's got enough delegates. In fact, Reince Priebus from the RNC was saying exactly, I'm sure you guys have heard this already, it's not the first time he said it, but that the RNC will pick the candidate. It will not be the voters, basically, or the delegates.
Oh, they've repeatedly said that.
Oh, yeah, right. So it'll be interesting, man. The GOP is just going to, they've shot themselves in the foot a few times. So, why not just work your way up?
Now, is this due to my mini break from the corporate media, or is Trump still in everybody's living room every night at 8 p.m.?
I can't tell you on that one now.
Yeah.
I'm usually working in the evening times.
I wish I knew the answer to that, man.
Well, you got to come off some
That's
serious
horrible.
cash to get him on camera these days. I mean, come on now.
Right, yeah, you get good
Well,
point.
I don't know. He may be on TV every night. That's what I get for, needing a break from all that nonsense.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's not, though. I mean, at this point, from my understanding, actually, I heard somebody complaining that he had not been on TV as much, and why would he need to? At this point, he's only, after his little, his screw-ups with the abortion question and how he handled that, and he backtracked on that. He flip-flopped 3 different times within, I think, like a day and a half. He only, at this point, I wouldn't say he'd hurt himself, but I don't think he's got a lot to gain at this point.
A friend that keeps up with Trump pretty
Keeps up
religiously, and we kind of disagree on quite
Is he a Trump supporter?
Mm.
You actually have one of those on your friends list? I have a couple myself.
Oh, who does?
It's one of those people.
Who's worse, though?
Just-
Who's a worse
their
Facebook friend?
family.
Who's a worse Facebook friend?
You just
A Trump
deal with
supporter
it
or a Bernie supporter?
and laugh at them.
Who's a worse?
Oh, I would say a Trump supporter, man.
I don't know about that, man.
No,
I've
it's Bernie.
interacted.
It's
I've
Bernie.
interacted with both of them quite extensively recently.
I hate to say that.
I'll be honest with you. I hate to. You know what? I want to reverse that. I hate to say that about anybody in particular, but I know that I would tend to get along with Bernie supporters only because I feel like we probably have more in common.
Oh no, I agree with that.
I do in public, but on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
no.
I agree with that in public. I think I would rather
Bernie
sit down with a
supporters
Bernie
don't
supporter.
understand
Yeah.
how to properly Facebook.
No, they do not.
No.
It is unfortunate.
We can have some Bernie supporters call in and challenge us on this notion, but I'm
No.
pretty sure they're going to exemplify exactly
yeah, and
what
in
I'm talking
person
about.
they all seem very nice.
Oh, wonderful people.
But
Wonderful
man,
people.
on Facebook are the worst. They're like a cult.
Yeah. The cult of Bernie.
The Zombernies. So do you think he even has a shot? There, he's won 6 of the last 7 caucuses.
Yeah, I was listening to something earlier. Where did I hear this at? I forget. But supposedly he is going like literally neck and neck with Hillary Clinton. I forget what poll it was. And I want to say he was put 1 point ahead. Now, I also heard there was also discussion about delegates. And the last time I heard, he was way behind the delegate count. And I may be confusing this, but I was curious.
We're bought and sold by corporate America.
What was the
Is,
last? What was the last you heard on her indictment?
Last I heard on her indictment, I think they had 149 FBI agents that were working on her case, and that was per Judge Napolitano.
That's a lot
So
of
that's been
money right there.
Yeah, that's been probably 2 weeks ago. And I want to say he pointed out, too, that in this kind of case, the FBI doesn't tend to go after somebody. They don't tend to put this much effort into a project or into an investigation.
Well, that's a slippery one right there. It's going to take
until they know it. So basically, they know it, and all they're doing is making their case. Before they want to have it all wrapped up. Which I think, what do you think? Do you think it's good or bad for the Democrats? Because I know there's plenty of people I think that are wishing, that hate the limbo, that wish you'd either, hey, get arrested, get popped, or get cleared, because that's the last thing that they want to have is actually nominate her and then turn around and go through an investigation with the FBI or get arrested before the election. So, I mean, what are you guys hearing? Are people wanting her to hurry? How are people even concerned on the Democrat side, especially the Hillary supporters?
Well, I think it's going to. I mean, it's absolutely going to crush the. If they nominate Hillary Clinton and there is a super tight delegate vote counts, but we have all of these super delegates that are already pre-pledged, bought and sold, or bought and paid.
Well, that doesn't mean a whole lot either. They're not required to vote as they pledged the first time. Not generally, anyways. Not all states. So, anyways, sorry to interrupt there, but that may be that whole delegate count thing.
Do you see any of the super delegates seriously changing their vote?
I see a few, but not enough to count.
No, I see a scant few.
I think some will, but I don't think enough that will make any difference.
Yeah.
So at this point, is the delegate count looking like it's for? So which way the?
Is this even okay? Is this really the argument, or is this about they're getting iffy on Hillary being going away? I don't know.
I'm sorry, you said are they getting iffy on what?
On Hillary going away, being convicted.
Yeah, I mean, are they? That should tell us something. I think most of us are even all your hardcore Republicans. I think they're probably just as skeptical or disbelieving that Hillary will go as much as anybody else is. But what does that tell you when the Democrat side are actually fearing it? Should that be a sign that maybe there's more that we don't know, or that the vibe's going through that community that, hey, they know what's going to go down before we, maybe they've got a better sense of it than we do?
Well, and let me pose another scenario, too. The fact that they've dumped, almost 150 FBI agents onto this case. But there has not been an indictment yet. I mean, do you think this might possibly be just a kind of a wait-and-see situation? We've already got the case set up and ready to go, and we're going to see which way the American public, see if we can't go ahead and get them to kind of take care of the situation for us. Because at that point in time, go ahead. I know you got that look in your eyes.
I agree. Go ahead. Let's hear what Mr. Gibson has to say.
It's about to explode right now.
Can we please talk about the fact that there is a woman running for president, okay, that people support, that we're even having a discussion about, well, they may convict her, we don't know. Like, that is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's obviously, that thing is, this is not the worst thing that somebody's ever done that's running for office, though.
Here's the thing, though. This is a woman that has repeatedly, for years, scandal after scandal after scandal. And there's people that are like, nope, she was set up for everyone.
Yep.
Every single time.
That's just a plot by the Republicans to bring her down. Yep. She's a good person.
She is
cares
a good
about America.
woman. None of that's true. Her husband fornicated that one time, and
she's a victim.
It's unfortunate.
A victimized
She is
woman.
just trying hard.
How can you not find it in your
Do
heart
people believe that?
to vote for this victimized woman?
Who believes that?
Yeah. A lot of people take guilt to the polls, my friend.
Well, the few people that do believe that are going to be the ones that get on the news and are interviewed and going to seemingly be her most ardent supporters, which is a good possibility that they actually are. It would not surprise me a bit.
I know there's people that really believe in Bernie Sanders.
Oh, no, Joe, who hasn't met those folks?
People that really believe in Donald Trump. I know there's people that go along with Ted Cruz. But who is just like, yes, Hillary. They've set her up all these times. She's great. Like, how is it a conversation? Now we are discussing her being indicted by the FBI.
Well, and I hate to rain on the whole FBI parade, but CNN's reporting that James Comey, who of course is the FBI director, here in the last 2 days actually, said he does not see a need for urgency in completing the ongoing investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server.
They want to wait and see how it's going to all suss out.
Yeah.
I tend to believe and go along with what you said, Gibson. That makes complete sense. You know, obviously they would, even if nothing more than so-called national security, they would use this as an excuse not to prosecute her if she was actually nominated.
National security.
Can you imagine? We didn't want to start a riot. We were afraid that there would be
he was in jail.
Do what?
I'd feel a lot more secure if she was in jail. They're just
well, not just you do, but thousands of foreign minority kids in other places and around the world. She's, by far we're the last ones I think that really have the most to fear from Hillary Clinton, unfortunately.
Hey, say what you want about Trump. Say what you want about that whole craziness. Say what you will about all the insanity that follows. And tell me you do not want to see what happens in Cleveland. I do not want anybody to be injured at all. At all. No injuries. But
of course not.
But I want to see the circus. It's going to get loud.
No doubt.
And it needs, but here's the thing. It needs to happen. It has to happen. It has to shake things up. Like, that's the thing that's coming out of this that is positive. There's just people that are just like, I'm done with this nonsense. Unfortunately, a psychopath, lunatic, greedy, egotistical, on and on and on guy has got them all behind him. But it is good people are done. They're fed up. They're tired of being lied to. And there's somebody in the mainstream that's saying this is a joke. He repeatedly calls one candidate lying Ted. Lying over and over. I mean, like, it's a cartoon.
He's just beating a dead horse. I mean, he's a big bully.
Yeah, but who doesn't want to see that? Who does not want to see these lying, pathetic, joke politicians be talked down to like children? And listen, listen. And that's the whole argument. That's where you get into the argument about, well, is Trump the guy? Has he been the guy from the beginning? Did they figure this out? We're going to have somebody just talk down to them, all of them, because they're all mad, and they're going to vote for him. And we'll do everything. It will make it look like we're putting him down, and it'll make him like him more. Is that a possibility? Maybe. I have no idea. I mean, do you even think that's in the realm of anything possible, Kevin?
Oh, excuse me. Of course. I started to say it with a little more enthusiasm than that, but yeah, I would say in this day and age, there's probably nothing that's outside the realm of possibility. Trump's whole campaign...
I don't think it's likely, but...
It's politics. Nothing happens by chance. If it happens, you can guarantee it was planned that way. Now, I know that you can use that. There's room for looseness there, but yeah, I mean, Trump's whole campaign from the beginning is something we didn't expect to see. Expect the whole rise. I mean, it breaks every conventional...
No, everybody genuinely seemed surprised. I will say that. If this is something that was pushed, I don't think, everybody was like, this was... Yeah, everybody seems pretty thrown off by this. No matter which channel you're watching.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, is Trump even surprised, you think?
He
I mean,
does.
do you think he goes home and looks at his wife and in the face and says, that was a close one? Or is he just completely just knows he's going to hit it out of the ballpark every time?
Every time. Doesn't matter how he's holding the bat. It doesn't even matter if he's even looking at the ball coming his way.
Look, I don't know.
He could be playing a different sport completely, and he's still going to win, it seems.
I don't know what he does in his private time, but in public, that man it seems like from the very beginning, like, nope, I told you what I was going to do.
Throws the ball way
I
up
literally
in the air,
said
catches it 50 yards
years
down the
ago,
field.
and this is true, years ago, that if I ever decided to run for president, I would win easily. And now I'm doing it. So no, I'm not shocked. That's what I think his response would be.
Well, he ran in 2000, so he had a little bit of a trial run then. So no doubt that.
Well,
He didn't
really,
run. No, he didn't really run. Come on, man. That wasn't real. That wasn't like a Ross Perot run,
Oh, this is more than that.
Network TV.
Oh no, I'm not trying to say this was anything, but I'm just saying that I'm not surprised that he would offer to run again sometime in his lifetime, 15 years ago. That he even waded into the water. So I think it's right up Trump's alley. I'm not surprised one bit that he would run. But again, Trump doesn't seem to be, he doesn't give up. He seems to be somebody that's into completing projects. So even a hint of it or something that tickled his interest, I'm not surprised to see that he would fulfill what little bit of interest there was in 2000.
What do you think the RNC meeting was about?
Who knows? But it doesn't seem like you're going to. At this point, really, who knows? They made it clear that
too much has changed.
Come again?
It doesn't appear that too much has changed.
No, shoot, I couldn't even. Who knows, really? I mean, who knows which way it's going to go? It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a circus.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I tell you what, I want to go ahead and bring on, as we promised, as Shannon has said, the wonderful, elegant, brilliant journalist, Miss Claire Burnish.
Hi. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Hi. I like that. That was cool.
It does great with those intros.
Ooh, it's like we're doing R&B radio. Ooh, no.
That's a lovely sweater you have.
I'll start screaming just to break this up. Break up the R&B feel.
To Hearts of Space.
I'll flip over a table. Miss Claire, how are you doing? Good?
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's been that kind of night over here.
It's okay.
I turned Scotty on to Can tonight.
Oh, that's a good band.
Man, it
Very
really
good
is.
band.
Yeah.
Never heard him before. So yes, Miss Claire, what's going on in your world?
Rough week, but I'm feeling better.
Well, that's unfortunate. What about in the bigger world? Everything you're keeping up with in the news. What's been grabbing your eye?
Well, let's see. I mean, obviously, we have the Panama Papers making headlines all over the place, and there's any number of storms of controversy surrounding those, along with a number of suspicions. I mean, this is kind of a crazy sort of development, and it's not even certain how exactly the papers came to be in the public spotlight, whether they were actually leaked by a whistleblower or leaked by somebody who doesn't want to be called a whistleblower, or whether they were actually hacked and, revealed. So that's just a basic beginning of that.
Okay, what was it I heard even it was going in the David Cameron being implicated? And
I haven't studied exactly what that was about, but it was something about his family having something to do with stuffing, funds in a tax haven too. And now there is a huge movement to actually have him they're calling for his resignation. I saw several petitions, several movements, a bunch of news reports about that. I mean, it's gotten kind of crazy.
Well, it turns out it's actually his father who had a big investment account, but apparently David himself has now admitted he actually does have a pretty profitable stake in it. But he claims he sold it for 30,000 pounds before he actually became the prime minister.
Is what it appears. So it appears he was involved.
I can't believe we've gone this far into talking about David Cameron, and you made no reference to a pig whatsoever.
I knew you were going to say that.
Congratulations, man. That is awesome. Good for you.
Look, that joke's going to live forever inside.
That's not a joke. That really happened, man.
I know it did. And I'm going to chuckle inside, but I'm going to have to be an adult about this. And
I've got me wiener and a pig. Yeah.
I'm going to have to be an adult and move on from the fact that David Cameron had sex with a pig. We're just
he didn't really have sex with it. He just put his wiener.
Have to enjoy
he just put his
that.
wiener in it.
We're going to have to enjoy that inside when we mention his name. We just have to know. But we
By the way, have any of you guys seen Black Mirror on Netflix?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah, okay. If you haven't yet, man, y'all should really check out the series. Great series, right up, I'd probably say, most of our alleys. And the only reason Gibson, he knows what I'm talking about. Great episode about your pig there, Shannon. You'd really enjoy it.
But that really happened. Forget about a TV show. Forget about it.
Well, no, this is exactly. That's the funny thing, is because it's actually a British or a foreign. I believe it's actually over there, based in that area. The same episode prior to this whole actual outbreak is pretty much the same thing that happened right before the revelations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the guy that wrote Black Mirror said, "I didn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence."
It was something I overheard in a locker room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, good times. Yeah. And there is there's just so much coming out about the Panama Papers. It is. I mean, it's insane.
So, Claire, what do you think? Realistically, what do you think the result of this is going to be? I mean, do you really think we're going to see movement here? Or is this just going to be another thing in the news for a few weeks and then it'll go away? Or do you think, maybe it'll be a Snowden kind of a story? It'll be in the news, but not that much will happen.
Well, honestly, I'm not convinced in any secure direction yet, I guess. I mean, you have Iceland kind of rising up. Their prime minister has resigned and been replaced now. There's a movement in Iceland to actually replace basically all of the politicians. In a country of just a little over 300,000, they have 22,000 people actively protesting in front of their parliament. I mean, that's a big deal. So there is already some fallout. And I feel like there should be greater fallout from what has been revealed, but at the same time, you have to wonder why the first thing that 2.6 terabytes of information, and they mostly targeted nations that were supposed to be kind of vilifying, like, Russia and Putin and China and everybody else, and only slightly targeted Iceland and Cameron, and now it's beginning to come out that there are some people in the U.S. that were implicated in the papers. So there's something kind of fishy about the information that we're getting. So.
Well, Hillary Clinton's campaign chief is also being linked. I don't know if I've not seen that reported very much, but apparently she was trying to duck from that accusation and try to smear Sanders in one of her recent polling events just coming out, which, I'm not surprised to hear one bit, but I tend to agree with you exactly that they're directing a lot of this at places that are not necessarily friendly by any means with the U.S. State Department. Of course, the U.S. aid program, who's been the source of a lot of the funding for a lot of these so-called color revolutions, they've spent a lot of money with the organization that's supposedly hosting these large dumps. I think you mentioned it earlier in one of your articles, I believe, about the George Soros Open Society Foundation, the Ford Foundation, for example. I'd be curious
Rockefeller.
to see
Sorry.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see Snowden's impression of these papers and where they came from. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what he has to say about their origins or possible origins. Sounds a little fishy to me, too.
I mean, if they are as big as they could be, we're talking about complete chaos with everything that's going on with U.S. politics to this. I mean, we're talking everything's in shambles. Is that coincidence that everything's going up in flames at once?
No.
No, and right before the election? No.
But are they going to? I mean, everybody going under the bus. I mean, are they going on a complete overhaul here? Think about that. Like, is that what they're doing?
Yeah. It's quite possible. That's what I wanted to ask, too. You guys thought about were they global taxation? Are they trying to revamp the whole financial system with it, too, in the way that money and financial transactions are actually linked around the world?
Yeah, this just doesn't feel right.
Well, here's an interesting thing, and I've been following and kind of compiling a bunch of different articles for kind of a long time now, but there is a global war on cash. Like, the powers that be and the central banks want to be able to, or they want to basically force everybody into electronic transactions so that our transactions can be traced and cash will be kind of obsolete, or at least that's their goal. And I have to wonder, because that's kind of been reaching a crescendo lately, if this is not somehow part of that. Because if you think about what the implications are of tax havens, it's untraceable money. And what electronic transactions are, it's traceable money.
Completely traceable. From the moment you receive it,
there's that.
It goes off to wherever it goes to. And
well, even if it's not for that goal will benefit. Surely that goal will be, the chess pieces will be moved closer to the field goal by the result of what happens with this, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I have to think that there is a reason, not only that they've implicated, certain parties, but that there are 2.6 terabytes of information that 80 journalists poured over for over a year, and they're only giving us this select sort of sampling of what they found. There has to be a reason for that, obviously. And like WikiLeaks is calling for, we should be able to search all of the information, no matter what. We should be able to.
Oh, you don't believe that this is going to be like Greenwald at all, and they're doing it in waves?
No, I don't. I don't, because I've actually heard interviews with some of the journalists who are involved in the supposed, combing through of this information, and they explained like how they did the searches for what they were looking for to divulge and such, and they are not planning to release all of the information unless the WikiLeaks kind of call for doing just that actually gains traction. They're actually saying, no, this is pretty much it. We're going to give you this information that we decided is pertinent that you need to know, and that's it. And, we should all be kind of saying, I don't think so.
That's a slippery slope, though.
Yeah, it's all selective information, obviously.
Yeah, and that right there is very important to consider when you read this story. And, because one of the things that I found very curious when I first read about the story was that there's very few Americans listed there. They made up a much smaller percentage than you figured.
400
than you figured a wealthy nation like America would.
I mean, what are the real possibilities of what's in this thing? Like, could it be like the thing? That's it. It's all out.
I mean, no.
So
not with as much information as they gathered. No.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that, considering this is a law firm that they leaked the information from, that there has to be a lot more information than just people who are using tax havens. I mean, I don't know if people have considered that really, but
because it's a law firm, this will be big. I think this will be bigger than say, a political league or something inside the government, because of all the different people, the different connections that run through lawyers.
Exactly. But if they're not going to make the information searchable, what they have found, if they're not going to make it in put it in the public spotlight for us to peruse, however we feel we need to, like WikiLeaks did with Hillary's emails. If we're not given that opportunity, then we have no idea what is in there that they're hiding from us. And that in itself is telling, because, this is selective information. This is like a big propaganda campaign in itself, which is kind of frightening when you think about a leak. It's almost like, here is your permissible information leak.
I think obviously the questions that are not answered are probably worse. They have worse implications or more serious implications than probably the actions that the Panama Papers are actually dealing with.
I agree.
I don't think it's a surprise that any of these leaders, or these, I think we've got 12 former or still actually empowered leaders among those, the people outed by this, and so I'm not surprised one bit. I don't think anybody else is either. That the rich people were saving money and skipping out on taxes, and who could blame them? I'm sure a lot of us would probably be thinking similar ways. I can't say that I would not be.
So what side of me should be going? What percentage of me should be going, yes, this is great, it's all falling apart, ha ha ha, this is what they do? Or be like, I don't know about this. This is too coincidental.
Well, how exactly is the average person going to benefit from this? I don't think that's going to happen. So I would think I would bet on something worse happening than something better.
No, it's not the average person that's going to benefit. It's the governments. The governments are going to benefit by people saying, well, everybody should be paying taxes. Let's enforce this tax policy on everybody, and let's do it equally. So this is what is going to make people jump back on board the tax train again. Like, oh, look at this. I mean, can it really be that coincidental that they're releasing this in April? I mean, this is like, hey, everybody should be paying taxes, and look, these people didn't do it, so they should be paying taxes too. I mean, there are so many different aspects.
Can you believe Bernie Sanders could walk through the streets without being stoned with what he talks about with taxes? Like people are following that guy all the way. But
oh man, because didn't you hear? It's only on people making $250,000 and above. What do you care, man? It'll help you.
Incorrect.
We're gonna stick it to the man, dude.
Yeah.
That is,
man, you don't know that, man.
That is not true. Everyone's taxes will go up.
Man, you don't know that, man.
Man, you don't know what have you ever heard the Bernie speak, dude?
Have you never even heard him speak or what, man?
Kevin.
Go to a rally, man.
Kevin, you mentioned something a minute ago, though. I'd like to go to Iceland just for a minute because, we're seeing when we were speaking in very glowing, praising terms not too terribly long ago about the government of Iceland sticking it to the bankers that pretty much kind of put them in the same economic situation or economic collapse situation that the banking industry and, all of the Fannie Mae's and Fannie Mac's and so on and so forth, the housing bubble, here in the United States, they actually put them in jail. Well, from what I understand, they're now releasing them with just a mere fraction of their sentence served.
Well, and the Prime Minister actually just resigned as a result of the leaks as well. So it looks like they're due for a pretty big shakeup.
And I tell you, we ran a couple of stories about when all the bankers were jailed. And I remember we
were high-fiving on the show.
No,
man.
But I remember we received I received multiple emails from people in Iceland that were just like, you people don't know what you don't know. You're not here. Don't be praising anybody just yet.
Shouldn't be surprised either. And they actually rewrote their constitution. I don't know if you guys saw, but they actually did it online. They had people from all over the country submit questions, including Sanjay Gupta had a little piece in it. I thought that was interesting. But shouldn't be surprised that the people going on that actually live there are saying something different than what our media, even alternative media, is saying about it.
Of course.
And that's the scary thing, I think, with information in general, especially when you're talking foreign politics. I think unless you have somebody on the ground, it's really hard to get an accurate story. And I think, that's important to have somebody like, Kayla on the anti-media staff, who's first off, she's based in the UK, and then of course she travels to Palestine all the time and Israel, and she's covering the entire Middle East. And then we also have writers all over the United States, and so we get a perspective of kind of everywhere here. So I think that's one thing that's great about, what we're doing in alternative media. I think it's branched out to the point of everything.
I think we should talk Nick into sending me to Iceland, and I can be the boots on the ground in Iceland. That would not hurt my feelings at all.
You should.
Nick Burnaby, if you're out there listening, holla at your boy.
It's expensive.
I'll go. My brother went there for his honeymoon, and he loved the people and the atmosphere there and said it was amazing.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad word about it. I've just heard it's really expensive. It's what I've heard.
And Bjork.
It's not like I have been.
But didn't you hear they have free every damn thing there?
Cigar Rose.
Yeah.
And their delicacy is, of course, rotted shark meat.
And well, no, I don't think I'm going to get into all that.
Yeah.
I don't eat chitlins either.
Oh, you're missing out now, bro.
Oh, no. God. I've had chitlins, dude. That's not...
I don't guess you eat pickled pig's feet either, do you?
Nor do I plan to.
Ooh, missing out. I'm kidding.
Loud. That's loud.
I think that it's necessary to say that, yeah, of course, we don't really get the information that we need to report as accurately as we could unless there is somebody located or who can travel to a location to get the information that we need. And I think that speaks to governmental censorship around the world. I mean, there are gates and censors on the information that we receive here. Everything is filtered.
Every government in the world.
Exactly. So that makes it a very difficult proposition to, report as accurately as possible without actually having an insider being able to convey the information that we need.
This is what
it's like we try our best, but it's not always exactly dead on. And
hey, Claire, and just so you know, that I hope you didn't feel like this, but this my comment a minute ago wasn't a dig at you guys or at alternative media in general. And just it was more along kind of backing up what you guys say that you can't really get. You can only get such an accurate and the best reporting you can do without having a source right there on the ground in the midst of stuff. So, sorry to backtrack, but I hope that you didn't take offense to.
No, of course not.
I still think it's important though that I go to Iceland. So, Nick,
right.
Let's do this thing.
But it's a source of endless frustration when you want to be as accurate as possible. I mean, even when you insert bias or opinion into something that you're writing that's a factual article, you want to be able to make sure that the facts are accurate. And if you are not able to get the accurate information, that is a difficulty and kind of a peril of the job. And it's unfortunate. And it's it's not like the media's fault. It's more like it's the government's fault. We're filtered. We don't have a choice in what we receive. It's hard to get accurate information sometimes on certain issues.
Let me tell you something, though. That whole statement, you don't know what you don't know, look at it. You get the argument, of course, from one side, we should have invaded Iraq. And, of course, the ultimate argument is, so you think Saddam was a good guy, huh? We shouldn't have taken him out. Well, no, of course not. And I think that's something we need to remember. There's propaganda on every single side, every government in the world. Whether it's Iran, what's coming from Iran is all propaganda. Every bit of it. What's coming from us is all propaganda. Every bit of it. And this is every country in the world. Who knows what's true and what's not? Who has any clue?
That's kind of my point, though. I mean, it's hard to. How can you get accurate information unless you can actually talk to somebody who is in the country, who knows exactly what's going on, who has seen it firsthand? And even then, it might not necessarily be reliable. It's a difficult position to be in, and all we can really do is try our absolute best and our utmost to make sure that what we're reporting is accurate.
I think it's always important, to speak to people hands-on. And I know you did a great job with the Nestle story doing that and breaking a lot of stuff that ended up coming out. Geez, what was it, like top of Reddit? And I don't know what all it did.
Yeah, a few times.
Keeping up with stuff.
It got quiet. Whatever.
But I had connections for that too, because I wrote the original article based on information I I gleaned from another journalist, and then I had sources come to me and actually went and did my own research and went to the location and figured out what was going on there. So that was, that speaks to having to be at the location and know what's going on.
Oh, that's it. And I think, that's one reason we have such a perception of a unique perception with anti-media of what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I don't know if y'all saw the story up on antimedia.org right now that 62% of Americans think we send too much foreign aid to Israel. But that's definitely not how it's perceived. You hear, if you mention Israel, you can't do that. People freak out.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's actually 32.5% think we send much too much aid to Israel, which is a huge number. That's, basically a third of the population thinks that we're sending, way, way, way too much money over there.
But that's not the way it's spun by any politician in the media. You have politicians showing up. They have rallies just to say, send everybody more money, give them more weapons, more guns. They don't have enough. Who do they want to bomb? Let's help them. Rallies for this. Rallies. And yet, so this isn't like, we send them too much aid. We probably send Egypt too much aid. This is way different.
Yes, it is.
This isn't... Does anybody think we're really going to stop sending a country aid in any capacity when we're doing that? People, need to live in the real world and don't expect that to happen tomorrow.
Well, Israel is actually in the middle of. It's funny that you bring this up because, excuse me, Israel is actually in the process of negotiating a new 10-year military aid package with D.C. that's expected to grow beyond $3.1 billion yearly.
They want $5 billion, and it looks like we're willing to do it.
Yep. Oh, and who'd be surprised? Of course, that money's in the middle of when we're supposedly bankrupt or headed to, obviously on shaky ground.
Kevin, I tell you what, thanks so much. We're going to hold on for it. Tell us more about it on the second side of the hour. We're going to now play our dear good friend Dan Sartain on One Little Indian Records. Speaking of York, they're actually on the same label. Song from his new record, Century Plaza, Represent. This song is called Cabrini Green.
Jam time.
That's actually our my good friend Dan Sartain, who once upon a time recorded some music with me. And
we need to play that one night. That would be. Oh yes, we do. Yes, we do. You know, I played a show with Dan the very first time I ever met Dan. Back in 1999, he was a little skinny kid, was still in high school, playing an all-ages venue on the edge of Birmingham, the Boiler Room. Remember that place?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that was forever ago.
But yeah. He, he toured with the White Stripes across Canada.
Yeah, Dan's cool dude, man.
Third band record, yeah,
cool dude.
Then there was a falling out, but that's okay. It's kind of anti-media. It's indie music.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I want to present this idea to everybody. We've thought about doing this, doing more of bringing in indie music and indie artists, and kind of featuring more independent bands and more, not just anti-media, but, kind of anti-music industry. Anti-everything. Anti-everybody. Who cares? Screw it.
We are anti-everything tonight.
Rage Against the Man.
Yeah. Rage Against anti-media.
Tom Morello. Shea Shirt.
Did you say Rage Against the anti-media?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take them down.
What?
Freedom!
Take it down.
There's already a couple of Facebook groups out there
yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. The conspiracies are great that Nick's did.
Oh, we should rate them, dude.
Yeah.
This is first
I
I've
enjoy
heard of
it.
this.
Oh, yes, you've heard of it.
Now, I've seen one of somebody else that was butthurt about something try to do one that was like a mimic site, but I haven't seen the like anti-media sites. Wow.
There's 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, there's a group. The anti-media is the mainstream media or something.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, I'm going to quote Cat Williams on this, and if you don't have at least like 4 or 5 haters at any given point in time, you just ain't doing your thing right. That's it.
Hey, yeah, you're right about that, man. This person was butthurt because they posted something on the group's page, and they argued with him, supposedly, and banned him. That was his gripe.
Well,
according to him.
Probably a Bernie supporter, but, I think we've...
Or a Trump supporter. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, Trump,
no, you're right. It can be any of them, or none of the above.
I think that's the important thing here is he's going to make America great again. So, I don't...
No. Make America even worse.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see because, he's the people's choice at the moment. He's the people's champion.
Let me ask you, Hillary or Bernie? Hillary or Trump? If you had to.
Oh, man, I'm Canada.
Good answer.
The deep ocean.
Australia, really nice. My cousin's got a place out there.
The reason I bring that up, I have a family member who I will not, who will remain unnamed, and the discussion came up, and of course this person refuses to vote for Trump, but explains that they'll have to vote for Hillary, and I just thought it obviously is a failed system, and that
okay, hold on.
Wow.
Legitimately, because that's everybody's answer. Oh, I'll move to Canada, I'll jump off, whatever. No cop-out. No, I'm too cool to answer the question. If you literally had to pick one or the other, who would you pick?
So if I got actually literally like shoved into a voting...
There is no choice. There will be an answer. Either Trump or Hillary.
2 words. Vermin Supreme.
Nope.
Sorry.
No.
I know which one I'm picking. I'll let you guys answer first.
There's no way I can, in clear conscience, vote for either one of those people. I can't do it.
Neither.
I can't do it.
I'll go first if it makes everybody feel better. I don't know. To see the chaos, I want to say Trump.
I don't want to see chaos.
To see the chaos,
I have to live here.
I want to see Trump. But for the comfort, I want to see Hillary because it's like, well, we've done this for a long time.
Comfort?
We're just going to keep doing this.
Comfort?
We haven't died yet. We're just at the slow death. We'll just keep on life support.
I think you just killed me.
No, look, I said I was going to answer the question, okay?
You did. Thank you.
Right, kudos, man.
I'm
can't
brave.
believe-
It's kind of that. This is like that question with.
Ooh, I'm brave enough to answer the question.
Well, that's true.
This is like that question when somebody asks you, your best friend asks you, "Do you think your sister's pretty?" You know, when somebody asks you for yourself, and you're like, "Man, I can't answer that." That's my sister.
Yeah. You still beat your wife? Yes or no?
Yes. Just kidding.
That old rib.
Just.
I have to, hey Gibson, I have to agree with you.
Oh, you're fired. Fired.
Welcome to the second half of the anti-media broadcast. This is where the show just dies into flames.
Off the tracks, crashing and running up and destroying the remainder of the track.
Wrap it up now. It's time for Daddy to get in the house.
Speaking
Come on,
of-
Daddy.
Anti-Media Radio. This is the second hour of Anti-Media Radio. Started about 9 minutes ago. You can join us at www.ucy.tv/TAMR every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. I am your host, S.M. Gibson. And co-host Kevin Knight, and joined on the line from Ohio, one of our wonderful journalists, Claire Burnish.
You didn't even say anything about me.
I know, I was waiting on it, man. I was waiting.
You got fired.
I was waiting. When you fired
He
Kevin,
must be fired again.
you announced it. You fired Kevin, announced him, but that didn't even. So this must be a surprise. This
This
is
is
the
a
big
real-
I got rehired, bro. He slipped me a note. Was like, "You're back on."
second hour. This must be it. Finally, I'm served my walking papers.
Man,
for
I'm
once and
still
for all.
upset about that Judah Freelander interview.
God, I was thinking about that a little while ago.
I'm not going to get over it.
We've got to get him back on the air.
Which one?
We honest to God, we actually did a interview with Judah Friedlander.
Nobody believes
We had advertised it. Unfortunately, schedules conflicted. He came back
Oh, gosh.
a couple nights later, and the minute we went to the call, it completely killed it. We could hear it in the studio and actually recorded a portion of the interview, which we may try to get up.
I've thought about putting together a little segment.
He'll
and
probably be
releasing
mad. He's
some of
probably
it out
mad
up
at
on
us.
the
He probably
page.
hates us right now.
He
I don't
probably,
blame him.
well, he.
It's your fault.
No, dude, he seemed like a cool guy, man. He searched out for the anti-media.
Yeah.
He'd be glad to do it again, man. I'm sure.
If he does, though, I hate Shannon, so no fault there.
So anyways, before we went on the break, we were on the subject of Israel, and Miss Claire has a story up on antimedia.org right now about Noam Chomsky. Claire,
Yes.
take it away.
So Noam Chomsky has offered some interesting insight about what is actually going on with Israel. Israel basically has their sights set on Iran, and I think, though, that is common knowledge. What people might not realize is that submarines are being provided by Germany and likely funded by the U.S., and what Israel is doing is arming or equipping or making capable those submarines of carrying nuclear warheads. And Chomsky basically says it's not as if these are defense weapons for the country. They have their sights set on Iran, and they want to target Iran with these weapons. And I think that they're just basically looking for an excuse to make that happen. He says it's a terrible threat not only to Iranians but to the world, and it absolutely is, because if you want destabilization in the Middle East to really have repercussions around the world, this would be it. This is a really big deal. I'm not sure that this is common knowledge before he was saying this, but it's rather alarming.
Nuclear weaponry on, and I'm sorry, I just thought this really fascinating. The fact that they're getting these subs from Germany. And
the interview was with activists in Munich, who are our partners overseas, basically, and they kind of have obviously a German focus on things. So the interviewer was asking about Germany and where they were coming from. So it does turn out that Germany is providing these submarines to Israel.
From a historical context, that's kind of unusual. The whole cycle of things.
Yes, you would think. And according to him, when I spoke with him, he was saying that, Germans are kind of reluctant to buy the whole criticism of Israel and stuff and what is going on there and what they're doing with Palestinians. And it's a difficult kind of personal circumstance. I mean, based on historical perspective. So that makes sense. But Germany is providing the submarines. Basically, they're providing the hardware. I would imagine that the U.S., with our, now probably, it's estimated some $13 billion in aid, both official and unofficial aid to Israel. They are arming these weapons with nuclear capabilities.
Clear. Yes.
I mean, this is a really bad situation because, just judging on how Israel treats the Palestinians and how I'm not even going to go into that right now, but how that, from that perspective alone, this is a really dangerous situation because Israel seems like a nation that would be a hair trigger willing to attack another. So if Iran, steps out of line or something and Israel has these subs ready to go with nuclear warheads, then this would trigger a massive problem for the entire world.
Well, here's the thing I think you're overlooking and everybody is overlooking in the situation with Germany. And they're like, oh, it's a weird cycle going back to Israel and this whole situation with Germany. Look, World War II allowed the United States to occupy the majority of the world. The center of that was Germany. That's where it all started. That's the epicenter of the expansion. We have had massive base in Germany since.
Still do.
Oh, that's where they look. It's everything. Always will. You have to remember, Germans were raised as that. They speak English, amongst other languages, by the way, not just English. They speak, we're going to have to speak 4 languages in school, I believe.
Wow.
And people here can barely speak 1. I know.
Well, they speak 2. They speak broken English and Twitter. Lols.
LOL. But I think people overlook that when you speak of Germany. That's why the whole Snowden revelation of spying on German officials and everybody was acting so shocked. I was like, wait, what? Who's shocked by this? Why is this a big deal? How do you not it just seemed obvious that they would, And I think Germany is a safe bet because they're not going to actually get mad. Because I think it's just, America, EU. That's what Germany is. I feel.
Yeah, you're right.
Claire, I know you have a much probably more broad interpretation of it, given your foreign policy experience. What do you think?
Well, first of all, the history of the Holocaust and such in Germany is somewhat complex, and it's much more complex than what we're taught in school. And that involves, the German government cooperating, some of which is still in place, cooperating with the Nazis and such. And it involves, Operation Paperclip in the U.S. with ex-Nazi officials and scientists and such coming here to practice legally. And, there are a number of things that are involved in this. And if you look at our support for Israel, in conjunction with Germany, there are questions of, there are a number of questions raised. I'll leave it at that. But the fact that we are so willing to jump to Israel's side and defend them no matter what, even when they basically perpetrate the same crimes that the Nazis have, and no, not exactly the same, but on par with that.
Why did
And you have this is a huge boiling situation that cannot be ignored. And when you take Israel, which feels like it has the right to do whatever it wants to do, and arm them with nuclear subs aimed at a country in the Middle East where everything is already boiling, this is a bad situation. I mean, I guess that's my most basic summary.
But Israel is us.
They would like us to believe that, yes.
No, they are. I believe they are completely.
Walking hand in hand.
Well, the governments are, I would say. The governments and the military are basically one and the same.
I'm not saying there's not rogue factions to stuff, because of course there are.
I don't know if y'all were watching the same debates that I did, but it seems like every single candidate was in the affirmative as being positive towards looking at open war with Iran.
But look how those countries developed, especially Israel. What I said about Germany, though, we helped build the country back. We didn't help build. We built the country. Started from scratch. Mm-hmm. Didn't exist, then it did. So you don't think we're running the show over there? At what point do you think the United States said, okay, that's good enough. We don't want to run their country anymore. We'll just give it back to, some people we can't control. Of course they're controlling it.
But I think that goes both ways. I mean, isn't it kind of the U.S. is being controlled by Israel and vice versa? I mean, aren't these governments so in bed together that the entanglement is so deep that there is no distinction?
Yes, I do believe that. I believe it's the same government, and it's just like another branch of the government. So, of course, there's all this infighting. They got stuff on us, we got stuff on them, and, who's going to pull the trigger first? Probably nobody in that relationship.
I mean, one of the major talking points during the debates is which candidate is more chummy with Israel than the other.
Oh, it's sickening.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hillary goes up. All of them. Bernie, he actually spoke out about it a little bit to his credit. I just, I don't get the forgiveness of sins with those people. Just kill, and we're just like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. They shot some rockets. Didn't you hear?
Well, but we have such a kind of intermixed relationship with them too. I mean, a lot of our police are trained over there in the same tactics that the IDF uses. And if you look at how brutal our police have become and how brutal the IDF is in Israel, I mean, this is a relationship that is nothing but destructive in every sense of the word. In Israel, in the U.S., I mean, around the world, this is something where these two countries and, arguably also Saudi Arabia feel like they can dominate everybody else in the world. It's an imperialistic policy that is hell-bent on violence and domination, and it is ruining millions, if not billions of people's lives around the world. And it's just stunning, these realizations that Israel is, harboring nuclear subs targeting Iran when Iran is really not necessarily doing anything to them specifically that is that dangerous.
As long as the United States exists, Israel's going to exist, period. It's a branch of the U.S. government. It's not going anywhere. We shouldn't even say, this country over here, look, it's just an extension, governmental-wise, of what we're doing. You can say the same thing for Tony Blair and David Cameron, too, in the UK.
So are we seeing the foundation for a proxy war with Iran in this move?
I think that avenue's been set up. That road's been being prepared for quite a while. I think it's interesting, before we get off the what you guys mentioned a minute ago about the fact that all American politicians are so in bed with Israel first policy. It's funny because the German government, Merkel, and this is probably apparently just lip service. It's hard to believe it would be anything but apparently the contract to deliver those 6 nukes, those submarines, came with some ties which supposedly, this is from Der Spiegel, or Spiegel was they're claiming that there was an agreement that Germany actually demanded that they stop further expansion of their past their borders. Of course, we know what to expect from that. But they also are going to actually complete a sewage treatment plant in the Gaza Strip. And I don't know. I'd be curious to see actually how that plays out. To me, that sounds like when you're sending nukes or allowing nukes to be sent, such as they are, that it's not a big surprise that they would probably put this out there and dangle these other treats out there for public consumption. But can you imagine if an American politician here would have even tried to play that game, would have even mentioned Israel halting expansion past their borders? That would have been it. They would have been yanked off the stage. That was the end of their career completely.
Immediately.
Republican, Democrat, don't matter. You can't say that.
No, they're gone.
But again, the reason why is because it's like if somebody came out on the stage and said, the CIA, it has to go. John Kennedy did that. He wasn't a fan. He wasn't in those exact words. But, did that have anything to do with what happened to him? Who knows?
Well, Ron said,
for
the most part, the same thing, and we see how far he got.
Right. But, nobody comes out there and talks about stuff like that. And it's the same thing as Israel. It's like, I'm so sick of Florida. We got to get rid of Florida.
Yeah, we got this whole Florida issue that we got to deal with.
It would be, it's kind of the same thing.
I stand with Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
Well, what's even more gross than that is the fact that you can't criticize the actions of Israel's government without being condemned by other people as either a Nazi or a fascist or somebody that just hates
or anti-Semite
all Jews. Right. And that is, and that's so unfortunate, but I'm not surprised one bit.
That's universal.
No, sorry.
I think that's a universal thing, though, because for the first 4 to 5 years of Obama's presidency, you couldn't criticize anything he said without your racist. And then finally it's like, okay, yeah, screw it. He sucks.
But there's also the boycott, divest, and sanction movement, against Israel, which should be, there's no reason in the world why that shouldn't, boycott in particular is an effective movement against anything that people disagree with. It's one way to say with your money, with your voice. It's one way to say I refuse to accept this. And now there are moves by Hillary and others to say, no, I'm sorry, BDS is going to be illegal. It's like, wait, what? How can you even possibly justify that movement of free speech?
Can I ask a question real quick? As for the boycott Israel movement, is that something, because, I know that we get this sometimes when I know a lot of times when we criticize the federal government, we sound to the untrained ear, or maybe to the casual listener, they may be mistaken as to think that our criticism is aimed at at the country itself or the people itself, as opposed to the federal government. At least my aim, I'm frustrated with the government, not so much as excuse me, I hate to say even that. We've all got our frustrations with the people.
I don't have a problem with any person I haven't met anywhere.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to say to inflict some policy on my life that will, affect me daily.
The Jewish people make wonderful food, and I'm just going to throw that out there right now, and I think that needs to be a very important focus on this conversation.
Okay, well, I want to go ahead and take it to church for everybody.
Okay.
Take it.
Here, let's get honest about, especially people like Ted
It's
Cruz.
time for Keeping It Real with S.M. Gibson.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's probably going to go way wrong.
Tuck your money in the envelope.
Went wrong with
these
S.M.
politicians, they've got it linked together, Israel and religion. Okay? This is God's land. It's tied to God. That's how they've got it implanted in people's head. This is the thought process with the majority of Americans. Even if it's not said, it's said. Like it's this understood.
Implied.
You know what this is about, really. You know what's going on here. If you're against Israel, you're against God. Are you an atheist? You're not an atheist. You better be with Israel. So this is, look, I'm going to go ahead and say this as someone who is a Christian. So think about all the people Israel are murdering, killing in Gaza. Okay? Murdering. And you're excusing it because, well, God would be for Israel. You're excusing murder because, well, God would be for Israel. That's what you're saying.
And if you try
So wait. So your excuse is, well, it's okay because God's on their side. What exactly are the Muslims you hate so much saying? It's okay to kill them because God's on our side. So when you think about it, you have the exact same thought process and are carrying out the exact same actions as these terrorists you hate so much.
Yeah, when did God want you to kill anybody?
Bingo.
It's the wrong God. You know, it's the wrong God you're talking about. You have to subscribe to the right God according to our government in order to make things okay.
And according to
Donald
Trump as well.
No. They listen. They wanted you to think that the government. They want it to be their God. That's it. They've replaced God with government. They've intertwined it. They've intertwined, the Bible and all that business together. That's done. That's over.
One of the other criticisms I get, the other justifications I get, and I get this from Gibson, as you mentioned once or twice before. I'm a Christian as well, although I admittedly I'm a horrible Christian. I'll be the first one to say. And I have this discussion with my grandmother often when the conversation of politics, when it comes up, the state versus the people. But I often hear, but Israel has a right to defend themselves. That's one of the issues that I hear. Never mind the fact that Israel responds with
what makes them special? What makes them different than anybody else? Nobody else would be allowed just to start hurling bombs like that. Nobody.
Right.
Still, if Saddam Hussein would have done that, what they would be saying, oh my gosh.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. What it comes
that would be a giant McDonald's right now.
What all of this comes down to, what all of these wars come down to, what all of this aggression comes down to, and the creation of radicalized whomever in any religion or any group across the world, what it all comes down to is if a country invades yours, if a country goes and makes military maneuvers in your country, you have the right to defend yourself. And you are going to defend yourself, your family and your home and your job and your livelihood. You are going to defend it against whoever it is that is committing these acts of aggression, period. What people don't understand is that, Israel is doing that to the Palestinians. That is why they are defending themselves. They are cut off from everything, so they are defending themselves. It's happening in the Middle East and all of these countries. These people are not the terrorists. They are defending themselves from us and from our allies and from these coalitions. It's ridiculous and absurd that this even has to be explained.
Well, I think a lot of people don't see and can't see. I'll be honest with you. When I saw, I think it was Vice, a Vice article, video where they were actually over there in Gaza. It's one thing to hear about the conflict going over there and to see a little blip on the news about it. It's another thing to see, to see video of actually what's going on in there. So, I can't imagine what it's actually like to live through it, but I wish that everybody that keeps arguing the Israel first over and basically screw off Gaza and justifying all this, if they're going to make that claim, I wish that they would somehow could actually see what those claims are and how what those claims, to argue those, what that actually means. I think they would have at least you would hope, a little bit of a different perspective on it, because it's horrible seeing it. It's so much different than what you hear about it on the news. When you do hear about it.
And we have Kayla, our journalist for Anti-Media, who does an excellent job and actually goes and visits Palestine and reports on it. Also, another avenue is, I think his name is Andrew Bourdain, who is, kind of a world-renowned chef or whatever. He has gone into Palestine several times and has done several exposés on what is actually going on and the relationship there. I mean, these are, people have kind of tried to expose what is actually going on. It is important that everyone understand what is really happening and why it is the aggression that is the problem. It's not the defense that is the problem. The defense is a reaction to the aggression, and we've lost sight of that.
And one more thing I think needs to be brought up also is that so many people that, unfortunately this comes down to a lot for a religious debate, but I think a lot of Christians should be reminded that there are other Christians that are actually in Palestine. And you have a lot of Christians that are being killed also by Israel's actions. But not only that, but you've got other people that are living in Palestine, not just Gaza, in Palestine, that are being fed up and that are having to fight for their lives, that are actually Christian. So it's not just for those that argue that, this is all just, Israel first and Muslims second. There's not just Muslims. There's all people over there, but there's also Christians. So this is not just a religious sectarian war in that sense. So I think that needs to be brought up as well.
I think that's a good point.
Oh, not only that, people need to realize too. Guess where Palestine is, or Bethlehem is located. Christians don't think about that at all.
Well, there's Christians all over the Middle East too.
So when cares? We'll blow them up.
Right. When they argue that let's turn the whole Middle East into a glass, a sheet of glass. Let's just bomb the whole area. It's like, really, have you really ever thought about what that actually entails? And not just the blowing up Christians. It's a shame that you have to point that out for it to make sense, for them to see the hypocrisy in it.
Oh, and what was the one last summer was the whole, but they kidnapped those 3 children. They kidnapped these 3 children. I'm like, do you realize that 500 children have died over there? Okay, it's done.
Well, and it turned out that they actually, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but they knew that it was actually, if I'm not mistaken, another group of like Jewish kids or something, but they had 911 calls that the government chose to hold back that would have brought that evidence forward and kind of proved that, am I remembering that correctly, Claire, that there was more to it?
Yeah,
that,
you are.
The whole story they were using to justify all of that, the whole story was none of it was true.
Right.
But that's policy. It's always it's almost never true. It's like you have these little incidents where they either make up the entire thing or they will take some aspect of it and blow it out of proportion to make everybody believe that is what the narrative, that is what the true story is, and so you must believe our narrative. And nobody ever really gets the whole picture, or they get the mainstream media's picture, and they're so convinced of it that they refuse to reject any evidence, even of truth. It's a really sad commentary on where we are. I mean, imagine if everybody just viewed each other as human beings and quit believing the government's narratives here. Imagine if we realized, all of us as a society realized that these governments have their own priorities, their own agendas, and we understood that we are all under their thumb instead of under each other's thumb, and we got along and realized that and rose up and did something. I mean, Iceland might be a microcosm of that in a way. They're not perfect either, but at least they're trying. And I really, really, truly wish that people would understand that it is possible.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, it really is. And it's funny because you talk to more and more people in the last probably 8 or 9 years since I started meeting various people, a lot of these, unfortunately, politically aligned people. You find that that's a common theme between a lot of aspirations from a lot of people that are just tired of seeing stuff that we're going through and the stuff that everybody around the world is seeing, because we know there's other ways, and there's much better ways than what we're being told are the only ways.
I tell you what,
There really are. We don't all have to get along either.
Code 636. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and what you're calling from tonight.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Jeffer.
What would you like to
I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, fantastic.
What's up, bro?
I just started listening to your show. I wasn't sure what you guys are talking about right now.
We're all over the place, man. Literally.
Shit, I used to follow you guys, but you guys always talk about the elite, on your posts and your articles, but I think you really need to be more specific, on who's really running things behind the scenes, Donald Trump. Like naming off the people who own the Federal Reserves and the central banks, all the owners of that.
Oh, absolutely. You do listen.
I think that's most important, getting their names out, and because everybody shares a league, Illuminati, all that crap. They don't know really what's going on.
You're right. One of the problems especially with the Federal Reserve and the IMF, is the back fee there. You guys hear? Okay. One of the problems with listing all the, at least breaking down the banking situation, is because the bank is not owned by just one group of people. Of course, there's a lot of shareholders involved.
Actually. Yeah, that's totally understandable.
But no, you're right. And there's so many different organizations.
Yeah.
Can you turn down everybody's in the background episode of Sex in the City or whatever's happening?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, we're having some technical issues, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're having some technical issues.
There was an issue.
I think that was like the beginning of a prank
in the
call.
background.
I think that was the beginning of a prank call. We get those every once in a while, so we're fixing to broadcast the number that they called from, and we want people to go ahead and call them. And
it doesn't matter.
It really does. We need to put it in the description for the YouTube video later.
I think he was probably legit, man. I think he was just probably.
No, I don't know, man. I've got a good nose for this sort of thing.
He just pulled over his big rig, man. He's been on the road all night.
I have to agree with your theory there.
What it was. He was probably on a walkie-talkie then, yeah, because you have no control over those things. Remember the old Nextels, where you had to press the button and you heard the chirp and somebody would talk into it, and then like 5 minutes later somebody would respond, but you were like in a movie theater or something somewhere, and then suddenly, yeah, I heard that motherfucker,
Oh, yeah.
Down real
Those you did, didn't you?
So for the last caller, sorry, that's probably why I got that impression.
You were one of those people, weren't you?
Because we get prank callers every once in a while. Those are some of my favorite calls ever. But
I don't care. You had one of those things, didn't you?
Yeah. My dad had one. He had like one of the first ones, the big brick ones. Yeah.
The only people
that was technology.
No,
man.
it was. The only people I ever knew that had those things were rednecks.
Oh.
What? Dude, we had one in every vehicle. It was hell yeah. It was fun. It was great fun, man.
You had one too, Kevin.
Security guards?
Of course I did, man.
You live in...
But I also had a niche for calling. I made prank calls on every different form of communication you could.
You can be a well-groomed, intelligent country person, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You all had.
They did sponsor NASCAR pretty heavily.
Yeah.
To be fair, full disclosure.
Okay, not everybody in the South is redneck. I get it. You still had one of those things.
They were popular among drug dealers too. Drug dealers had them.
I
think they still use them. They
Okay.
I'm stereotyping it.
Thank you, Claire.
I would like to bring up another topic, if we may.
Please.
There were intelligence analysts who have been fired now for telling the truth about what the U.S. is, U.S. involvement in ISIS, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'd like to talk about that, if we can.
Are these U.S. intelligence officers?
Yes, they are.
Uh-oh. Let's hear it.
You have the floor.
Okay, so a little bit earlier last year, 50 intelligence analysts came forward who were working for Central Command and said that their reports about the true nature of what was going on with ISIS and the U.S. kind of fighting against ISIS had been altered, like severely and majorly altered. And now 2 of them, including one of the top Syria analysts, have been fired, basically, from their positions. And what this is really saying is there is a huge propaganda campaign and possibly more going on within the military. And there is a lot of unrest and possible revolt going on inside the Pentagon. I think it's a pretty big deal.
Well, I had actually heard of course, I didn't hear it to that extent. I heard whispers that, are we talking about, I think we're talking about the same scenario where the reports between intelligence out in the field were getting actually altered before it actually got to the president's or to the upper echelons of the military, to the president's desk. Is that the same situation that you're referring to?
That's the best of my understanding. I mean, they were basically trying to give intelligence to upper command and saying, this is what's really going on, and they were revealing that our war against ISIS was not actually going very well at all. And they had said that in the public, and they said, this is what's really going on, and our reports are being altered, and now there is basically blowback for that, and they're being fired. And I think that's very telling of what's actually going on with policy.
Well,
makes you wonder, right? I mean, do you expect anything else to come out of these intelligence officers? Should we expect them to continue to talk? Or is that something you think they'll be quiet?
The Inspector General is actually conducting an investigation into the allegations about the altering of reports. I mean, it's a very big deal. And, there's only been 2 officials fired, but I would either imagine that more people will be fired or there will be different repercussions somehow or other. I mean, this is a big deal. I think it's important and it's been overlooked.
Why would they be doing this? Who exactly would be, do we know who exactly in the chain of supposed command would be responsible? Is it an organization? I say organization, is it one group of people within the military? Is it one person? I mean, other than, I guess they're obviously making the reports up and flowering them up to whose benefit, but under whose direction, I guess, would be the bigger question.
Well, I think that question is kind of left open. We're talking about the heads of Central Commands, which are the Defense Intelligence Agency officials, and they are supposed to provide the president and the top officials with the intelligence information that they need to conduct their military operations. So if they're saying that there is a rosy picture being painted out of things that they've told them which are not so rosy, then this is a very big deal.
Business as usual.
Of course.
Doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat either, right? Yeah, it's the military. You would think it would be, which we all know is not true, but you would think it would be one of the more unbiased groups of people within the U.S. government. But it goes to show, yeah, corruption is rampant. It doesn't matter which color you're wearing.
And bold and brazen. People are coming out. People are talking. There's so many different people, so many different, video and audio and all of this mounting evidence of all of this stuff. And people are just growing more and more jaded to it. And just, well, okay, yeah, that's just kind of how we do business. No big deal. As long as they're not messing with me and they don't fool with my Wi-Fi and my Candy Crush,
That's all.
It's a shame that the reaction isn't like we should rise up. It's actually kind of tragic that the reaction is like, wow, we've yet another scandal, yet another terrible tragedy, yet another thing that we need to be worried about. Let's just go to bed and not worry about it. It's a shame that people aren't up in arms about this, so to speak. It's a shame people aren't saying, wow, I can't believe that my government is doing these things. But yet nobody is.
Yeah, I tell you what, I want to go to a caller now, area code 417. Thank you for calling Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, SM Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Yeah, my name's Brandon Druden, residing out of Springfield, Missouri. Another Missouri caller for you. But I'm from San Diego, so.
Oh, cool. What's going on?
But yeah, hearing your conversation the past half hour or so, and
what's your take on the whole situation?
Sorry, I got some dogs going off in the background here. Basically, on the whole, the sub thing you were talking about with Germany and how they're doing their deal with us and whatnot, I think it's just, basically they're trying to do what they've always been doing and, breaking down governments. And Iran is one of the, strongest Middle Eastern powers that isn't part of the, the formation, the collective, everybody, the UN, and everybody, so they're going to break them down, and just like they did Iraq, and it's a military procedure is all, and it's a way to control power and resources, and they've done it with governments all across the world, and like the girl was saying there.
Well, that's all ultimately.
I can't believe everybody isn't realizing this,
That's all ultimately any of it's about, though. I think it's the fact that they're trying to control resources. They're trying to control, I don't think they care about the land so much. I don't think they care about the people. I don't think they care about any about that. It's just the resources, period. They do what they got to do to get those resources. If there just so happens to be something in the way, well, it's not going to be in the way for long because they're going to make it's not.
Yeah, what's funny about that too is, on the general news channels, out there, it's always about the Middle East, but they never talk about North Korea and how we have about 40,000 troops in South Korea along the border right now.
Mm-hmm.
They never mention anything along those lines. And it's like we have all this other stuff going on, but hey, let's talk about this.
Oh, well, look.
Let's distract. Ooh, the terrorists. Ooh, they're mad at us. They got ISIS and they got rebels. Well, yeah, we're over there. We're bombing them. We're killing them.
And we started ISIS. Try that on for size.
I even fell asleep on North Korea.
Trained them and bought their guns and everything.
I fell asleep on North Korea, and I'll tell you why. It's because you realize that the U.S. government is going to hypocritically say, well, this country in the Middle East has these sort of weapons, and they're doing these sort of things, and this is horrible, so now we must go and invade them and take over their country. Whereas North Korea, once you learn about North Korea, it's like, well, guess what? They're openly doing everything you just said, openly flaunting it, and yet you say nothing. And once you, do the research on these people, like, this is happening, this is legit, this is crazy, and yet, nobody cares. No big deal. And, and I think, that illustrates the hypocrisy of nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
And then the actual situation that you're discussing, how serious it is, and where we're at now. So what do you ultimately think is going to be the end result? Where do you see it going?
Well, I'll tell you, unless there's an upright revolution and shift of governmental power, within the realm, And because all I see is the Congress, the Senate. I mean, I did fundraising for both sides of the parties, and it's all a Ponzi scheme in a sense. You know, they raise their funds, they go on these campaigns. Oh, the other guy got all the votes. They get to keep their money still. Okay, great. And, you know, as far as that goes, you know, they do it year after year after year after year. You have all these donation, you know, people calling you, hey, you donated before, give us more money. You're a voter. Okay, let's go. You know, it's a never-ending assault on this money and resources and controlling the population and propaganda, and it's all about so they can achieve what they want to and have the control of power and control of the resources and control over society. You know, the whole, you know, population.
I think that's it. You know? I don't know if you've ever watched the program House of Cards, but the main character, Frank Underwood, he says achieve power. He says if you do that, the money will come. He goes, who cares about money? You know, he said people that sell out for the money or do something, you know, to get rich. He's like, you know, they're sellouts. He says you go try to achieve just all power. That's it. That's all I care. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of something that probably reflects real life. I think that's what a lot of these people are after. You know, it's never enough. It's not about. Mm-hmm. It's not even about the money. It's not about the resources. It's just about. It's
the power trip itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, more.
Yeah, it's the ego trip, the power trip. Yeah, and like I was trying to say too, I mean, earlier they do that all around the world. They've done it in Panama, they do it in South America and in the Middle East. Yeah. They've done it in Africa all around. You know, it's like we were just saying, it's never ending. It's going to keep happening, and unless there's this upright revolution within, you know, actual construct, you know, people that are running the show, I don't see them change their minds soon.
That's it. I tell you what, thank you so much for the call. Thank you for listening. And speaking of revolution, that's the thing. We need to have a revolution within ourselves. We can't wait on this, you know, whatever it is we think we're waiting on, whatever it is we think's going to happen. You know, I don't know if it's anything that will happen, won't happen, whatever. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You can have a revolution in your own life today. Those around you, the way you treat people, the way you interact with people. That's it. You know, the revolution starts with you. It starts at home. That's everything. That's all you can control. Period. That's it. You can't control what some politician's doing. Checking a sheet of paper, right? Whatever. That's the most important thing in the world. You better do that. Did you help somebody eat?
Yeah, I think we've talked about in this show the point that really your vote doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I don't know. No? I don't go back and forth. On the federal level, no.
On a federal level, the Electoral College picks the president.
Yeah, so the federal level, it's a joke.
Yeah. So everybody's all wound up about a presidential campaign that doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you're not going to pick. I mean, you can go ahead and throw whatever confidence or hope you've got. You can throw your little penny in the wishing well.
This is the modern version of bread and circuses. I'm sorry, but there is no other way to describe this.
True that.
But what isn't that? That's all anything is.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything.
The show isn't.
That's all everything is.
Oh, man.
Everything, even if it's unintentional.
Why are you selling us out like that?
Unintentional. Everything can be. I mean, it's not like, oh, everybody's bad. Oh, school. Who cares? It's not like, oh, everybody's a racist thing. It's just like it is what it is. Everybody's promoting something. Doesn't make you bad. Just how much are you willing to do to promote what you want to promote?
How big of a whore are you?
Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to promote something because everybody's got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Period.
And then it becomes, well, I'm eating, but I sure wish I could eat a little better. I want lobster. I'd really I'd go for some lobster right now. It'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's never enough.
Hey, man, come to the house. We got some frozen clams.
Is that some kind of dirty joke you're trying to say?
It is. I was hoping you would get it. Nobody else would.
I've only had lobster.
The old whore is rusty.
I've only tasted lobster once, and it was.
Oh, it's divine.
It was like old.
I do not like lobster.
Oh, well,
old
y'all
red
can
lobster.
Give me your lobster, and y'all can go eat some of them frozen clams.
So.
Hey, so
For the
real quick,
record, I'm a vegetarian now.
if you had to vote Clinton or Trump, which one?
Yep.
God, I hate y'all for this. I'm
Go.
not playing this game with you.
These
No,
nuts.
seriously.
Saved by the bell. Thank you so
Tony
much,
Powell,
everybody.
Burlington,
I'm gonna-
2016. Represent.
Thank you so much
Later, y'all.
for listening to Anti-Media Radio. This is SM Gibson for Shannon, Kevin. We are out.
In the bed.
Thanks, Claire.
See you, Claire.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.